Okay, so now you're thinking, I can't make my house payment anymore. What are my options? Everybody wants to know this important question. If you live in the Central Valley, this is probably the most often asked question that we get today. We are in the top 5 counties in the country for foreclosures. We have a 50% drop in value in many places. The city of Mountain House, 90% of the homes are underwater, which means 9 out of 10 homes, they owe more than the house is worth. So you're not alone in this situation. Just understand, our job here is to help you. As a community, we can get through this all together. So here's your question. What do I do? I'm in foreclosure. How can I get out? What can I do? What are my options? First option is you can always bring your house current. And I know that sounds silly, but if you have a 401k, you have friends, you have family, you can bring yourself current. And that'll easily stop the whole process of foreclosure. That's number one. So we have to answer that question, but for most people, that's probably not the best option. Second way is a forbearance. If you have a great lender, and there's some great lenders out there, what you do is you call them and say, hey, I'm $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 behind. I had some temporary issues with job, illness, whatever. And what they'll do is go ahead and take that back-end principal. Let's say you're $15,000 behind. They'll take the $15,000, put it on the back end of the mortgage. And because they put it on the back end of the mortgage, you could pay that 10, 20 years from now, and they'll just start your current payments now. And that's a great way to do it. It's called a forbearance. And there's some great lenders out there that do it. And you always have to go and call your lender and say, hey, what are my options? Remember, the government right now is doing a lot for options for clients. They're really trying to prevent foreclosure from happening, and they're asking lenders to participate in this. Third way is refinance. And refinance is really critical. If you have equity in your home, you can go back to your lender and say, hey, can I refinance, take it and do it a little bit longer? And that's a real critical statement in this process. You can always sell the property. And selling the property is basically, if you have equity, you can sell your property, downsize going to somewhere else, and that can work. Also, if you sell the property and you have extra money aside, let's say you owe $100,000, the house is worth $125,000. After commissions and fees and all that, you have $140,000. You have the $40,000. You bring that to the table. There is no ding on your credit, and that's a great way to do it. That's just not the option for a lot of people, but if it works for you, great. We got to rent the property. That's another option. You have to bring your current mortgage current, but then you can bring somebody in to rent the property. And some people do that. The worst thing you want to do is bring in a renter and let the house go into foreclosure, because now you just upset another family's life, and they're going to have to deal with being evicted out of that home, and they probably didn't plan on that. There may be some other legal ramifications down the line. We don't want to get you into that mess either. Deed in lieu. This is called the friendly foreclosure, and friendly foreclosure means basically you're going to the bank and saying, hey, I can't make this payment. Can you make this payment for me? Or can you go ahead, here's the deed of the house. We'll agree upon me leaving in a friendly way so you don't have the expense and anguish of having to go through the foreclosure process. Most companies, when they do a deed in foreclosure, want you current. The rules are changing, but you can look at those options. It's called the friendly foreclosure. It still has a negative impact on your credit report. Bankruptcy. You're probably seeing a lot of ads for bankruptcy right now. A lot of attorneys are doing this. What they really don't tell you is with the bankruptcy, all it will do is stall the foreclosure. It won't prevent the foreclosure. The foreclosure still will happen. You'll still have a housing problem on your hand even after bankruptcy. There's a lot of rules that have changed in the bankruptcy, which means you now have to qualify for bankruptcy. Now, bankruptcies are up in our area by about 30%, but keep in mind, it's still not going to solve your housing problem, because the house is a secured asset. And basically what they do is they go in and say, hey, this is a home, secured, and they'll get a judgment to continue going on with the foreclosure. It will stall it, it just won't prevent it. Now, short sale. You're probably hearing a lot of terms about short sales. And basically what a short sale is where you owe more on your home than it's worth, and you don't have the ability to pay the difference. Basically what we do is we go to the lender and we say, hey, we understand we have a problem. I can't afford it. You're going to get less money, but we don't want to go through the process of going through a foreclosure either. It's kind of a way of everybody working together and going out and selling this home. And we get you to sell your home in a traditional way, but then we add the lender in there. And the lender's basically going to go in and say, hey, we're going to go ahead and approve this short sale, and we're going to take less money so we don't have to go through the foreclosure process. Now, there's a lot of incentives right now. The government has really said we want to stop foreclosures, and the way we're going to do it is we're going to have you lenders go ahead and do more short sales. And by doing more short sales, we're going to help offset some of your costs, and we're going to make it easier. So if you remember all the TARP money that was out there, and now there's the new HAFA program that's out there. These are government programs to tell banks, hey, let's get through this together, and we're going to help offset some of your costs to do this. Now, when they say short sale, it's anything but a short sale. It's actually a longer process. You could be anywhere from 3 to 6 months, but the most important thing is if you do a short sale, you could come back and buy in 2 to 3 years. The hit on your credit is much less devastating than a foreclosure. If you have a foreclosure, that's a 7 to 10 year hit. And that's what we ultimately want to avoid, is having that big hit on your credit. 2 to 3 years, you can get through that. 7 to 10 years, life's going to change and you're going to wish you had other options. So if you're thinking of short sale, this is probably the best and easiest way to do it. Now, there's a lot of information, too much for video. But what we like to do is always give you information so you know what options are available to you. You can give me a call, Ron Cedillo, at 209-321-0445, or you can go to our website at homebuyersrealty.com. homebuyersrealty.com.